Marketing experts often use the concept of power to sell products, whether it's a cleaning liquid or power drink. There's something in us that seems to yearn to want to be powerful. In the second reading today, however, we're confronted with the exact opposite boast, not of power, but of weakness. Let's look at that second letter of Paul to the Corinthians and ask how might it apply in our own lives. The book we call 2 Corinthians is actually a collection of several letters that Paul sent to the church in the Greek city of Corinth. The section we read from today has to do with Paul's qualifications as a teacher and apostle. Apparently some other teachers had come to town and the people weren't quite sure who Paul was and what his qualifications were. Paul responds by saying, "The only thing I'm going to boast about are my weaknesses, not my strengths." On the surface, this flies in the face of common sense. You don't get people to believe in you by telling them what you cannot do. Suppose you were interviewing for a job and the potential employer said, "Well, tell me about yourself." And you responded, "Well, here's what I can't do." Probably not going to get the job. Paul's boast about his weakness, however, is connected to have his wish to have the power of Christ work in and through him. He talks about having a thorn in the flesh, whatever that may be. He sees it as a reminder that he's not always in control. He needs God's help. Moreover, when he realizes just how much he relies on God for his strength, it is precisely then, Paul says, that I'm strong. How can this apply in our own lives? Fundamentally, we have to admit that we do not have ultimate control over situations. I need to admit that there may be present in my life moral weaknesses, actions which are not consistent with my calling to be Christian, and I really need the power of Christ to overcome them. Various 12-step programs adapt this basic insight to their recovery programs. The addict must first admit that he or she is powerless when it comes to the addiction. It is only then that recovery can begin. It's quite similar in our religious life as well. We have to first admit that we are powerless to overcome a certain moral weakness before we can allow God's grace to heal us and make it possible to change. Today we need to name the weakness that is ours: selfishness, impatience, holding grudges, lack of respect for myself or others. We need to admit that the presence of our weakness, and we need to ask for God's grace to overcome it. What is the thorn in your side that serves as a reminder of your weakness, but more importantly, of our strength that can come from God? Perhaps we need to sing along with Josh Groban when he sings "you," referring to God in this case. "You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be."